thank you for joining us today. So how's everyone feeling so far? I see a lot of people there. How's everyone feeling back there? Bored? Sleepy? Hungry? Nobody is engaging. Everybody is sleepy today. Let me ask you an interesting question. How many of you are so single that they did not have any plans for Valentine's week and hence they are here, so that they don't have to look at those Instagram stories? Yeah, now I see two hands. Anybody else who was so single and this was their fallback? Because I was. So I'm here. And interestingly, I was actually, on my way here, I was actually thinking that most of my talks get aligned on the dates where I am the most unfortunate person, and that's why I'm just able to make it. So I was speaking at this React Bangalore last week, and that was around the time when Coldplay was happening. And I could not find a Coldplay ticket. I was on, I think, 4 lakh and then 6 lakh, I don't know. I was just not able to make it. And then I was just there speaking. And then again today, I did not have any plans for weekend and I'm here. So yeah, that's been my story. But yeah, I can definitely say that I am not a Cupid, so I cannot help you find a partner here. But I can promise you that by the time I am done with this session, I can take away your vote. So, sounds good? Alright, perfect. Well, I am Harshit and I am a senior software engineer at ImageKit. I have been here for about 2 years, close to 2 years. And I focus on building our image and video APIs. We will talk about this in detail in the session. But before that, I would actually like to know a bit about you all. So, can we see a show of hands for people who have more than 2 years of experience? Oh, nice. What about more than 5 years? Oh, we have 2 very senior people here. 3. Perfect. Has anybody ever built a side project, a product which has a lot of images and videos? Just one? This will be interesting. Okay. I had more questions, but we can probably see. Anyone who has heard of ImageKit before? Nice. Anybody who has seen me speaking before in the last 1 month or so? Because I've been pretty active. Yeah, I see some familiar faces. Yeah, so this time I actually brought another topic because the last time I spoke about videos and people were very interested to know what else can ImageKit do really. And that's why I was like, let's just make it more personalized. Maybe think about some real world application that you would probably need ImageKit for. And for people who don't know ImageKit, it's totally okay because that's what we are here for. I will introduce ImageKit to you. I'm not here to sell, I'm not a salesperson. I'm just a fellow developer and I think I did not know ImageKit before I joined. But now that I've joined, I've been using it, I think, in all of my side projects. I do a lot of side projects as well. So let's get into it. I think everybody is an engineer. I'm assuming everybody is good with maths. So let's just do some number game. Can anybody calculate this for me? Oh, I hate wires. 180? Yeah, that was easy. It is 180. Can anybody tell me why I'm talking about these numbers? Anybody who knows any idea? Just take a wild guess. It could be anything. Anybody who knows? Sorry?
Maybe you are testing if you are sleepy.
Anybody? No one? Okay, take it. Sorry. Yeah?
Could it be related to image size?
Yeah, it is very much related to images. That's what we are here for. Sorry?
Maybe pixels?
Pixels. Guys, we are going too technical. I am not going that technical here. I'm just going to be, going so surface that everybody just understands and follows, right? So let me tell you what these numbers really represent. So let's take an example that you are probably building an e-commerce app, something like Amazon or Zepto or Swiggy, something like a digital marketplace, right? Now, effectively, if you think about it, you would have seen that there are a lot of thumbnails, a lot of images there because catalog, I think one of the most important parts of a catalog is the image, right? Because you need to see what you are buying. Everybody has trust issues, man. I have trust issues. I need to see what I'm buying. I need to see it center, right, front, left, everywhere. I need to see like all angles. So now businesses and websites, they do understand this, right? That the people have trust issues and we need a lot of images. Now, when we actually checked, we looked into a lot of these websites, we figured out that on an average, these websites, these e-commerce platforms, they have about 6 images for each product that they have, right? Now coming to the next and the most interesting part, here I am going to dive a little technical. So now we have 6 images for each product, right? But then you don't know where your users are coming from. Your users could be probably using a laptop, they could be using an iPhone, a Samsung, any phone, right? Now you don't know which phone they're using, or probably somebody is like so rich who has an Apple Watch, and I think there's a browser or something and they're just browsing on that. It could be anything, you don't know. You don't have control on that variable. But then, tell me, how many of you actually like to wait for a page to load? I mean, what is your attention span? It's nothing, right? It's like, अगर 1 second में load नहीं हुई, खत्म. We are not going to this website again, right? So that is the kind of attention span that we're dealing with. And for this, we need to ensure that our websites are fast on all these devices. There are like a million devices, million different resolutions, screen sizes. People could be in different network locations, man. Like somebody would be scrolling Amazon when they're probably on the way to office. Somebody would be scrolling Amazon when they're in the washroom where there's no internet connection. So we do not have control over these variables, and that is why to actually make sure that our websites are fast enough on all of these devices, we need to make sure that there are multiple resolutions, right? Multiple resolutions of the same image, so that they are, equally performant on a mobile phone or a laptop or anything. So on an average, I am assuming that we need 5 resolutions for each image, right? iPhones have different resolutions, Android phones have different, MacBooks have different, normal laptops have different. I'm very biased about Apple, so that's why I'm saying that. But on an average, let's assume that there are 5 resolutions for each image. And now coming to the third number, which is image formats. So now, has anybody used Arc, the new upcoming browser, right? So we have a lot of browsers, right? We have Opera, Chrome, Firefox, Safari for Apple users. We have Arc, and then we have a lot of other browsers coming. Now, not all browsers support all kind of images, right? That's the problem. So some of them they support JPG, some of them they don't support WebP, some of them they don't support AVIF. PNGs, so anyways, they're very heavy, so you don't want to use them, right? So on an average now, for all of these 6 times 5, which is 30 images, you need to create 3 variants of all those images. So now we are at 90, right? Now, like I said, that we have different network conditions, right? So we need to make sure that these images are not big. Any image, any video that you create from iPhone is like 4 MB, 5 MB, a proper image, right? You cannot load that on a network which is so slow, which is like a 3G. I think I was not prepared for internet accessibility here. So I prepared my slides that way, right? But then you need to be sure of these things, right? So for that, you need to compress those images, make them smaller, so that you can actually load them on a low network area as well, right? So on an average, let's assume that you need to compress them into 2 different sizes. So for example, for a 4 MB image, you'll just create a 1 MB variant and something like a KB variant, like a 450 KB variant, right? So assuming that, when we multiply all of that, we get 180. That is the number, and that is the number of variations that get generated for a single product on your e-commerce website, right? If you want to make it fast and scalable. Now people would say that, Harshit, 180 is such a small number, man. Like, it's nothing. We can easily do that, right? But then let's play some more number games. Let me just do some magic, convert these multiplication signs into nothing, and the equal to sign into multiplication. Can somebody calculate this for me? So now we are in an alternate reality where your website is just picked up. There are a lot of merchants, people want to sell a lot of products. We are looking at 6,532 products. And now we have 180 variations of images for each of those products. So, any guesses what the number would be? Like, anybody who's good with math?
3,600.
What?
3,600.
3,600. 6,532 times 180. Well, it will be in the order of 1 million. And that's the number we're talking about. Now that's not easy to maintain, to process, right? And by the way, Amazon or probably something like Swiggy, Zepto has way more number of SKUs than just 6,000, right? I have worked at Big Basket. back when it was not even that famous. It was my first job out of college. And back then I think we had more than 10,000 SKUs. And SKUs is like stock keeping unit. So it's like a product, right? So we had more than 10,000 variations of the product, each product having 6 images, 6 or 7 images. Just imagine the scale that we're dealing with, right? So that brings me to a point that if you are very serious about delivering the most perfect, high performance, media heavy websites, you need 3 basic things, right? First, you need your images and videos to look good. It's like an aesthetic world that we are living in. They need to look good. And then they should be fast. That is the most important part, right? And then the third part is that they should, in a way, help you improve user engagement and conversions, right? So these are the 3 things that you would want, right? And so let me now talk about, okay, I hate fires. Anyway, okay, let me talk about a typical workflow of how you would deliver image and video content, right? So in a very typical setup, can anybody tell me what they use if you've built projects around this? Yeah. Cloudflare as a CDN.
AWS is CDN.
Okay.
Paired with S3 bucket storage.
Okay. So AWS CloudFront as a CDN.
CloudFront.
Yeah, with S3 bucket. Yeah. I think that's the most typical setup that most people use, right? Is there anybody else who's used any other setup? Anybody who stored the images in their static project folder and delivered? Yeah? Cloudinary. Yeah, Cloudinary is a very good alternative. But yeah, again, back to the question, anybody who's ever done that? Because I have, like all my life. I've always stored those images in my file system and then delivered it. And I'm like, man, this is so fast. And the moment it starts getting slow, I'm like, let's upgrade to a better machine. We need fast. Like, I can't do with T3 micro, I need M1X large, and then I end up paying more. But that doesn't solve the problem, right? The problem is still the same. Your disks are not optimized to deliver content, right? So you need something very specific. So in a very typical setup, if you see here, we have an original image. We have these 180 variations of these images, all stored in some cloud storage. It could be Google, it could be Amazon S3, it could be DigitalOcean, it could be anything, right? And then you just hook up a CDN, because CDN is also important. These storages are, again, just for storing, not for delivering, right? So a CDN is needed so that, okay, does anybody know what is a CDN? Content, yeah, jargon sabko pata hai. What is CDN? How does it work? Like, just one liner. Quick delivery of the resource, right? How does it happen?
So the image is distributed to nearest location to that person.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Edge networks, right? So I think you guys know there's an idea of what CDN is, right? So there are these different edge networks. There's an edge network and there are different nodes. And you basically create copies of those images cached in these different nodes, so that, let's say, my storage location, the S3 storage, was in Virginia, and my user is in Mumbai. I don't want to go all the way to Virginia and then get the image from here and then, cross all the big oceans and then come here, right? I don't want that. So I would probably want that my image is somewhere in India, in a data center here, right? So that it's quickly accessible. So that's what a CDN is for, right? Now, let me tell you, so now if you see, right, this whole process itself is very complex. I don't know if you've realized this, but handling 1 million images, pre-processing them, storing them, it's not easy, it's very complex, right? And also storing is not cheap, it is very expensive. So if you were to store like one image, it might still be okay, but we're talking about millions and millions of images. It's not cost efficient, it's very, expensive. Then there's pre-processing, you have to process all of those images for all of these different variants. Now let's say somebody from your customer support team said that this guy is using this phone. I don't know which phone is this, but this is a new phone, it has a very different resolution. Now, none of the images are working for him. And now this is a production bug. Your CTO is like, Harshit, you have to solve this. This is like losing, this is like bad UX, you need to solve this. Now what I will do is, I will just go and I will create all those 1 million images for a new resolution. right? Can you imagine the kind of pre-processing that it needs, right? So now all of these drawbacks bring me to a point that what is the solution? So the solution, I would not say this is the right way, but this could be a better way of doing it. And the solution is that, bring up something more intelligent into the picture, something which handles this dynamicity and this variety in a much better way, right? And then that brings me to a point called real-time transformations and optimizations. Everything is real-time, even this has to be real-time. You cannot pre-process, you cannot store, you cannot do all of this, you cannot really, plan for everything beforehand. You need to do it real-time, right? And that is where ImageKit comes in. Now, let me tell you what ImageKit is for those who don't know what ImageKit is. ImageKit is a media delivery and management platform. Does anybody understand that? Or okay, who doesn't understand it? भाई सबको समझ में आ गया? You're body smart है और सब मेरे को नहीं समझ में आया था. I did not understand this. So I will give you an example. So I think we have all used apps like Swiggy, Zepto, Book My Show, Big Basket, right? Everyone uses it. So these brands essentially use ImageKit to store, resize, optimize, and deliver images and videos on their apps, right? And now how that works is that their original images are in their own cloud storages, because before onboarding to ImageKit, they were probably not using ImageKit, so they were using the standard setup, right? So their original images are right on the cloud storage. Now where ImageKit comes in is, it just plugs in right before your delivery. So instead of your CDN, you could probably use ImageKit, right? Because now what you open up is, you open up a lot of these arenas where you could do real-time transformations, you could use a lot of effects, a lot of things, right? Create these multiple variations. You do not have to worry about storage, you do not have to worry about CDN, because ImageKit has all of that, right? So all you have to do is just hook up the ImageKit API and you're done, right? So that's where ImageKit comes in for all of these brands, right? Okay. So let's circle back to our initial thought where we were building like an e-commerce platform. So this is a sample e-commerce product page. Don't ask me what I did to build it. I just use shared scene. But just imagine this is Amazon, okay? Now it has a standard set of things, right? In the catalog, you have the title, you have ratings, you have all those description, bunch of all those things, right? But we're talking about images and videos, so I will just focus on this part, right? So now if you see, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 assets being loaded here, right? So now these 6 assets, in a very traditional setup, they are loaded from your traditional S3 bucket and a CloudFront CDN, just like that one person said, right? So it is just loaded from there, right? Now, how would you do this in React? So you would typically upload your content to S3, right? Then S3 would give you something like relative paths, right? You would store them in a DB, or let's say store them in, is everybody able to see this? Yeah, so you would just store them like a hard-coded thing if it's not that big, right? Or probably a DB. And then call these URLs, take the URLs, and just load them, right? So we'll just see how that happens in React. So, is this visible? Okay. So a very simple way to do this is just, that is our CloudFront URL, something.cloudfront.net. You just, take that CloudFront URL, prefix that to the relative path, and just load it in an image tag. I think everybody knows image tag, right? Everybody has worked on image tags. If you're using Next, you could probably do this in a Next/image component, right? But this is the sole idea of how you do it. Now, what is the problem with this? Now, the problem with this is, so again, I was not prepared if we would have internet or not. So I've just taken a live screenshot of this particular setup, right? So if you see, these were the 4 images that were being loaded. All of them loaded from our CloudFront, right? Now the thing is, all of these images are loaded as PNGs. And we all know PNGs are the heaviest formats, right? You can clearly see that. It's like a 3.6 MB, 3.9 MB, 3 MB, close to that. So these are essentially unoptimized images, very high in size. Now imagine if you were to load a product list page with like 500 images of these. So you would end up doing like a 600 MB bandwidth. So you are paying Amazon an egress cost because all the egress happens from your Amazon storage, right? You are paying that. Then your users also paying the plan ISP providers for loading 600 MB on your website. They will just end up going mad. They will not use it, right? And then of course the high load time. Again, we all said, if you can't load your page in less than 2 seconds, you are losing a user, you are losing a visitor, right? So that is the problem with this particular setup. Now, with ImageKit, how we can do this? So there are 2 ways of getting started with ImageKit. The video processing API that we have. The first is that we discussed right now, because most of the companies, most of the products that you will be building will already have a setup, right? They will have a setup with an existing storage provider, with an existing CDN. They will have like a lot of workflows built over it, right? So the best way is to connect your own cloud storage, bring up ImageKit API as like a middleware, and just start delivering, right? Very simple. The second is, if you're not using any of that, then you can use ImageKit's media library. We work on top of AWS, but then we have more accessible, developer-friendly APIs. We have native apps, we have UI, so all the teams can just upload things to the media library like Google Drive, right? So this is the second way of doing it. Is anybody not following so far? I mean, I've not gone any technical. It is just image tag. But anybody who does not understand so far? Because now we're going to talk about images. And by the way, you should wait till we get to the last section, which is AI magic. That is my favorite. And I think we will have time for it. All right, if no questions, then I can proceed. So now with ImageKit, how you can do the same thing. It's the same code. I've done no changes. It's just about loading the Next.js SDK, which is ImageKit IO Next. Having these 3 environment variables. So these are the 3 environment variables that you get from ImageKit's dashboard. ImageKit is free, so you can always try it out. Now the most important thing that we need here is this next public URL endpoint. So this is the endpoint that we will essentially just be replacing the CloudFront endpoint with, right? Again, we have the same setup. It could be anything. It could be hard-coded. It could be, your URLs are stored in a DB. The same setup, no changes there. The only change that you have to do is change your CloudFront URL to ImageKit's URL, right? And I will not suggest this because we have already created an environment variable. So it's better to pick that value from the environment variable. So this is traditionally how you do it, right? And the last change that we want to do is, so from the SDK that we just installed, we have a wrapper component which works over the image tag, right? And that's called IKImage. So all you have to do is just change img to IKImage, import it, obviously, and then change the source prop to path prop. And rest everything is same, right? You don't even need this. Like I'll come to this part, but you don't need anything else. That's how easy it is to integrate ImageKit to your existing applications. Now let's talk about transformation. So essentially, ImageKit works around URLs. So if you ask me, Harshit, what do you do at ImageKit? What do you do? I just play with URLs. That's it. I don't do anything else. So the point here is that ImageKit works over URLs. So you do not need to know anything else. If you know how to load a simple URL into an image tag, you can use ImageKit, right? So a transformation is nothing but assume it as a query parameter in your URL. Let's say you had this https example.com/example.png, right? Now, if you want to, let's say, crop that image, what would be the usual way? You would just download it, put it to Canva or Photoshop, crop it, upload it back to your CloudFront, take the new URL, serve it from there, right? But with ImageKit, all you can do is put this crop transformation, say that I want the height as 510, width as 510, and the same URL, we will be serving an optimized image with these resolutions to you in real time. And this is not just, we will not be resizing the container. That's not what we are doing. We are actually editing the image on the fly. And if you actually see that, I think we'll cover it in the demo, but if you actually see, it happens in a fraction of a second. So that's what I do at ImageKit. We try to make it as real time as possible, right? Right. So when you change this, you see a sudden change in the performance, right? So now the same images are being loaded from the domain ik.imagekit.io, right? The type is changed. None of them are PNGs now. Now ImageKit was intelligent enough to know that this was coming from a Safari browser. This was coming from a Safari browser, and they made sure that okay, you need to deliver a WIF or WebP, right? And now if you see the change in size, we have actually scooped it down from 3 MB or 3.6 MB to something like 49 KB, while still maintaining the quality, right? So that's the power. And then of course we have reduced the time from something like 1 second. We have come down to 66 milliseconds, right? So that's the power. We will quickly move on to the summary. So what ImageKit can do with images for you is automatic format conversion and compression. So this is what we just saw. We were converting the format, we were compressing. The real-time transformations, and then again the delivery over CDN and storage. So these are the 3 things that we can do using ImageKit. Any doubts so far? Because I will have to go a little fast on this one. Yeah.
You can go back to the previous slide.
Yeah.
2 slides back.
Okay.
So this conversion, it's happening real time, right?
Yeah.
Your engine, basically you have an engine which converts the file as the required
Right.
format or whatever the size. But you're not storing it anywhere. You're converting it, delivering it, and the matter is over. Or
No,
you-
so ImageKit has its own CDN where we store these images as well. So all of these images, the first time you make a request to these images, they're actually cached over our CDN. So the next time you make a request, they will not actually be, processed in real time, but they will be stored from a cache, because that's obvious, right? Why would we want to do the processing again, right? So we have an inbuilt CDN, which actually does the whole caching part, right? Any other questions? Yeah.
How ImageKit reduces size despite maintaining the quality?
So there are some formats which are inherently larger in size. For example, PNG. While there are some formats which are inherently smaller in size, like WebP, right? So the most important thing is we do these format conversions, we do these compressions, and these are, sometimes there are lossy compressions, sometimes there are lossless compressions. You can actually customize that, you can configure that on your own, but that is how we try to reduce the size, right? Let me move on to videos. So just like we did for the images, we can also do it the similar way for videos. So the original way of doing this would be using the HTML video tag. I'm sure everybody is aware of it, right? Loading the video using CloudFront, and then you have to create a thumbnail as well and then store it somewhere, put it as poster, right? All of that. Now with ImageKit, now again with this, there's a problem that we are almost loading 5.5 million bytes, which is roughly 5.4 MB, and it's an MP4 video. Now again, with just like images, videos also, some of them are really larger in size, some of them are inherently smaller in size. So now when you change this to IK video, the component, and change the source prop to path while keeping the same URL, just replacing the CloudFront with ImageKit, all that happens is we end up reducing the size. We end up intelligently knowing that okay, this browser supports WebM, so why not deliver WebM, which is like 50% of the size, right? Which is almost 2.9 MB. Right, so this is all happening very intelligently over the air, right? Now, I think we can skip this part. To actually summarize, we have automatic format conversion compression. You can change the resolution and aspect ratio. You can create thumbnails. I can come to thumbnails. So, like I said, everything revolves around URLs. So, in a traditional setup, how would you create thumbnail? You would just, probably take a screenshot of a certain part of the video, edit it, put it on CloudFront, serve it from there, right? With ImageKit, all you have to do is just put the URL. In front of that, just put ik-thumbnail.jpg, that's it. And what we will do is, we will take the first frame of the video and serve it as a thumbnail over that URL. So that's how easy it is to, do these very complex tasks. I don't think we have time for AI magic, do we? 5 minutes? Or should we want to do it later? Chalo, are you all excited for the AI magic though? because this is interesting. This is my favorite. Okay, we'll take 2-3 minutes. Okay. So I'm not sure if anybody of you has used Adobe Firefly and all those things, right? Where you can just put in a prompt, you'll get an image, all of that, right? Now, what would you think if I, ask you to do that in your application on the fly? How will you do it? There's a UI that you need to write a prompt in. You can't really do that, right? How will you integrate it in an application? Right? Unless you have an API, you will call an API, you will ask them to create this particular variant, then include it, right? So now, as I said, with ImageKit, everything revolves around URLs. So all you have to do is something like this. In the same IK image component, you just say that change bg prompt, so this is a keyword, and just write whatever prompt you want. And what we will do is we will create that image for you in real time again, right? Let me show you this. We'll play this. So what we are going to do is we are going to convert this to that just by changing the URL, right? And you can actually tell me what to do. I'll just do that in front of you, all right? Let's just see this. Sorry. Can people hear me though, because I need 2 hands? Can you guys hear me at the back?
Yeah.
All right. So let's just see how we can do this. I'll just open. Okay. This was our initial image, right? Now, does anybody fancy black backgrounds on images? Because all you need to do is, can you see the URL bar? Okay, because all we need to do is do a tr bg black. Did you just see what happened? It's not, and this is not a container, this is not a React tag, this is just the image URL. And we essentially changed the background, right? Now, if you see, let's say I do it pink. You see how quick it is to edit images. Like otherwise this would have taken, anybody who uses Photoshop a lot, Canva, how difficult would this be when you are to do this with Photoshop? How much time will it take for you? Like roughly 15 minutes at the best. You'll just change everything, upload it to CloudFront, then change it in your application, right? So this is the first thing that I wanted to show, that how easy it is to do these things. Now let's say, what's your favorite color?
White.
White. Okay, we are back to white. Anybody else who has a better color?
Blue.
Sorry, blue. Okay, let's try blue. So this is blue. Now let's say I want to, I don't want to show it on a laptop. I want to show it on a mobile. So I need to change the size, the aspect ratio. How will I do it? I will just say width, let's say 900 and H 1600. Do you see this? So we have this, resized the image altogether, and did you see how fast it was? Although this net is not that fast, but still it was very fast, right? Now let's do some more fun part. Anybody of you who likes gradients? So let's say, okay, I think it's already there. Did you see this? So now our plain white image has a beautiful gradient background, and just by changing the URL. And all of this is in the docs, so all this, I've been here long enough so I remember the things, but it is very easily doable, right? Now coming to the most interesting part, AI magic. So let's say I want to change this background to change. Okay. Okay, can anybody tell me a prompt? Where would you like to see this bag? Probably somewhere on the rocks, in the mountains with snowy background, or on a wooden table? On the rock? What? Oh, in the space. Okay, let's try that. I hope it works. There should be no production issues. Place it in the space with Jupiter in the background. So because this is AI, so it will take a little bit of more time than the usual transformations, but I hope it should just work. And I'm done with this. I'm done after this. I won't take more time. Okay. Name the internet. Did you see that? So I have already like tried a lot of things. Oh, by the way, did you see Chulka? Where's Chulka? It's somewhere else. Right? But I've actually done a lot of things. Oh, you can't see. We can make it big. Just look fine.
Yeah.
I'll give you this link. You can try it. You can make it big. Do you want to try some, like, see some more things that I did? I actually kept it on a marble floor. I kept it like a lot of places.
Can you do someone writing with right hand?
So this was something else that I did. I placed it on a wooden table. Sorry?
Someone writing with their left hand.
Someone writing with their left hand. How?
In a background of a person writing with their left
Oh, like Viru Sastra Buddhi.
This is suggestion.
Yeah, we can do that. I think we are short on time, but yeah, we can actually do that. I'll be there. You can come. We'll try a lot of things, right? But yeah, I think that was it. I think from my end, there's nothing more which is really relevant here. Just the wooden table that I showed you and how you would do it simply. Now there are other things also that you can do. For example, like you can just convert an image to a larger size. But then let's say you want AI to imagine what could be like on the side. So you can do things like that as well, right? I think with that, there's nothing more from my end. That will be it from my side. Questions? We told that questions. See, we actually. So either we could have done this demo or questions. That was the deal I had. But yeah, we can connect in snacks, and these are our socials if you want to connect. बहुत छोटे दिख रहे हैं, but you can just come over and we can connect. But yeah, that will be from my end. Thank you so much for being here, and yeah.